Lucia still showed no elation. Oddly enough, she had thought it meant damp and oil stoves, too, for she did remember what Georgie had forgotten, that he had told her just before the Epiphany of Vittoria. But now this stupendous fulfillment of Vittoria's communication, of which she had never dreamed, had happened. As for Abfu, it was a mere waste of time to give another thought to poor, dear, malicious Abfu. She sighed. "Yes, Georgie, it was strange," she said. "That was our first sitting, wasn't it? When I got so drowsy and felt so queer. Very strange indeed. Convincing, I think. But whether I shall go on sitting now, I hardly know." "Oh, but you must," said Georgie. "After all the rubbish." Lucia held up a finger. "Now, Georgie, don't be unkind," she said. "Let us say poor Daisy and leave it there. That's all. Any other news?" Georgie retailed the monstrous demand of Lady Ambermere. "And as Robert says, it's so hard to know what to offer her," he concluded. Lucia gave the gayest of laughs. "Georgie, what would poor Risholme do without me?" she said. "I seem to be made to pull you all out of difficulties. That mismanaged golf club, Pug, and now there's this. Well, shall I be kind and help you once more?" She turned over the leaves of her paper. "Ah, that's it," she said. "Listen, Georgie. Sale at Pemberton's auction rooms in Knightsbridge yesterday. Various items. Autograph of Crippen the murderer. Dear me, what horrid minds people have. Mother of pearl brooch belonging to the wife of the poet, Mr. Robert Montgomery. A pair of razors belonging to Carlyle. All odds and ends of trumpery, you see. Ah, yes, here it is. Pair of riding gaiters in good condition, belonging to His Majesty King George the Fourth. That seems a sort of guide, doesn't it, to the value of Queen Charlotte's mittens. And what do you think they fetched?" "A terrific sum, Georgie. £50 is nowhere near it. They fetched 10 shillings and 6 pence. "No," said Georgie, "and Lady Ambermere asked £50. Lucia laughed again. "Well, Georgie, I suppose I must be good-natured," she said. "I'll draft a little letter for your committee to Lady Ambermere. How you all bully me and work me to death! Why, only yesterday I said to Peppino that those months we spent in London seemed a holiday compared to what I have to do here. Dear old Risholme. I'm sure I'm very glad to help it out of its little holes." Georgie gave a gasp of admiration. It was but a month or two ago that all Risholme rejoiced when Abfu called her a snob, and now here they all were again, with the exception of Daisy, going to her for help and guidance in all those employments and excitements in which Risholme revelled. Golf competitions and bridge tournament, and duets and real seances, and deliverance from Lady Ambermere. And above all, the excitement supplied by her personality. "You're too wonderful," he said. "Indeed, I don't know what we should do without you." Lucia got up. "Well, I'll scribble a little letter for you," she said, bringing in the price of George the Fourth's gaiters in good condition. What shall you offer? I think you must be generous, Georgie, and not calculate the exact difference between the value of a pair of gaiters in good condition belonging to a king and that of a pair of moth-eaten mittens belonging to a queen consort. Offer her the same, in fact. I think I should enclose a treasury note for 10 shillings and 6 stamps. That will be more than generous. It will be munificent." Lucia sat down at her writing table, and after a few minutes' thought, scribbled a couple of sides of notepaper in that neat handwriting that bore no resemblance to Vittoria's. She read them through and approved. "I think that will settle it," she said. "If there is any further bother with the vecchia, let me know. There's one more thing, Georgie, and then let us have a little music. How do you think the fire broke out?" Georgie felt her penetrating eye was on him. She had not asked that question quite idly. He tried to answer it quite idly. "It's most mysterious," he said. "The oil stoves are always put out quite early in the evening and lit again next morning. The boy says he put them out as usual." Lucia's eye was still on him. "Georgie, how do you think the fire broke out?" she repeated. This time Georgie felt thoroughly uncomfortable. Had Lucia the power of divination? "I don't know," he said. "Have you any idea about it?" "Yes," said Lucia, "and so have you. I'll tell you my idea if you like. I saw our poor misguided Daisy coming out of the museum close on 7 o'clock last night." "So did I," said Georgie in a whisper. "Well, the oil stoves must have been put out long before that," said Lucia. "Mustn't they?" "Yes," said Georgie. "Then how was it that there was a light coming out of the museum windows? Not much of a light, but a little light. I saw it. What do you make of that?" "I don't know," said Georgie. Lucia held up a censuring finger. "Georgie, you must be very dull this morning," she said. "What I make of it is that our poor Daisy lit the oil stoves again. And then, probably in her fumbling way, she spilt some oil. Something of the sort, anyhow. In fact, I'm afraid Daisy burned down the museum." There was a terrible pause. "What are we to do?" said Georgie. Lucia laughed. "Do?" she said. "Nothing, except never know anything about it. We know quite well that poor Daisy didn't do it on purpose. She hasn't got the pluck or the invention to be an incendiary. It was only her meddling ways." "But the insurance money?" said Georgie. "What about it? The fire was an accident, whether Daisy confessed what she had done or not. Poor Daisy. We must be nice to Daisy, Georgie. Her golf, her abfou, such disappointments. I think I will ask her to be my partner in the foursome for the Lucas Cup. And perhaps if there was another place on the golf committee, we might propose her for it." Lucia sighed, smiling wistfully. "A pity she is not a little wiser," she said. Lucia sat looking wistful for a moment. Then, to Georgie's immense surprise, she burst out into peals of laughter. "My dear, what is the matter?" said Georgie. Lucia was helpless for a little, but she gasped and recovered and wiped her eyes. "Georgie, you are dull this morning," she said. "Don't you see? Poor Daisy's meddling has made the reputation of Vittoria and crumpled up abfou. Fire, water, moonlight, Vittoria's prophecy. Vittoria owes it all to poor dear Daisy." Georgie's laughter set Lucia off again, and Peppino, coming in, found both at it. "Good morning, Georgie," he said. "Terrible about the museum. A sad loss. What are you laughing at?" "Nothing, caro," said Lucia. "Just a little joke of Daisy's, not worth repeating, but it amused Georgie and me. Come, Georgie, half an hour's good practice of celestial Mozartino. We have been lazy lately." The end.